Actually, this is uh, just similar to an Herculean task to cover all the three philosophers in one talk and to at least know the very essence of the philosophy, particularly in the context of holistic development in relation to educational curriculum, and particularly in the life of child and students. So what they say, but more important is that why they say like that, and what is their perception of holistic education. So just let me share my slides, and in between, when I will be speaking, I will keep my camera off. But at the time of discussion, in between, I will again open my camera. So first, we have to concentrate on whatever is there on the screen. And some I have written just for the understanding. You don't have to read the slides, rather concentrate on our discussion. If there is any query or anything, what I can solve or I can address, then you may in between ask the questions or at the end of session. But my focus would be on the idea of holistic development, particularly in Indian philosophy. And in that context, what they say, I'm not covering all the ideas of these three philosophers, Aurobindo, Swami Vivekanand, and Rabindranath Tagore. I'm not throwing light upon the entire philosophy of these people, but their idea in relation to Indian philosophy. Because Dr. Radhakrishnan also says that whatever philosophy has emerged after independence or after colonialism, colonial education system, whatever philosophy, whatever branch, whether it is from the Vivekananda or from Dayanand Saraswati or either from Tagore, and to some extent even from some philosophers who were inspired by the Islamic mysticism or Islamic philosophy of education, like Maulana Azad, or sometimes particularly Allama Iqbal, whose philosophy is particularly based on the Quranic mysticism and Quranic philosophical aspects of education. And Maulana Azad's philosophy is a little different, but they also take some instances from the secular sources. So Radhakrishnan says whatever philosophy has emerged after independence or after colonial education, they are just the footnotes of Shankaracharya's Vedanta or Advait Vedanta philosophy. So, in one way or other way, all the philosophies are like the footnotes, means they are either the interpretation or either some improvised version of Shankar's Advaitvad or Vedanta schools of philosophy, one of the six schools of Indian philosophy. So whatever they say, particularly these three philosophers, Aurobindo, Tagore, and Vivekananda, whatever they say, it is in the context of Vedanta philosophy, and later how Vedanta was interpreted in the terms of Shankaracharya as Advait Vedanta, and then later the different schools of Vedanta also emerged in the hands of Ramanujacharya or Vallabhacharya and so on, and Nimbarkacharya and so on. So in that context, we would try to. So in between, we will also discuss that what is the requirement of Vedanta in the holistic development of a child, and how they cover those aspects which are considered uh, important to be developed in the light of Upanishadic philosophy, Vedanta philosophy, and Advaita Vedanta. So let me share first my slides, then we will discuss. So I think slide is visible to all of you.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Visible.
Okay, thank you. So the very title of today's talk, I'm not sure that whether I will be covering all the three aspects, but I will try my best to just have a glimpse of the idea of holistic education in the the ideas of these people, Vivekananda, Aurobindo, and Tagore. So first we begin our talk with this great personality, Shri Aurobindo, the man and his philosophy. The main word what he uses, Shri Aurobindo, actually these three people, we should bear in mind that the life of the three people as far as concerned, that early part of life, their early part of life is important. Uh, but in case of Aurobindo, his last part of life is important. But in case of Vivekananda and in case of Rabindranath Tagore, you see the inspirational aspects in the early part of their life, like Tagore's childhood and Vivekananda's youth or the early adolescent period, how he was inspired by the circumstances of that time and how Vivekananda the entire personality was converted into an spiritual awakening, and how Tagore was inspired by the contemporary education system. And when he was thrown out of the school, out of his habit to raise the questions and not satisfying with the existing system and feeling suffocated like that. So all the earlier part of the lives of these two people, particularly Tagore and Vivekananda, is equally important. But as far as Sri Aurobindo is concerned, his last part, not the last, but the later part of the life, when he was converted from a revolutionist to an ICS officer, and then after an ICS officer, he just started his life and for the sake, for the service of the divinity, and then he emerged as a spiritual guru. So this is the transformation after his. I think if you are aware of the Indian history, particularly that episode of national movement, when Alipur conspiracy was there, and Sri Aurobindo was one of the persons who was sentenced to jail. And after 2 years of jail, he just decided to get retirement from the direct involvement in national movement. In that sense, what he was doing, publishing Vande Mataram as a fortnight or weekly, and he was actively engaged in all the revolutionary activities against the Britishers, and he was a prolific writer as well as he was writing in that way. But after the Alipur conspiracy, his entire mind changed, and it is just a divine awakening in at his conscience or at his antaratma. Then he just started his spiritual journey from the Pondicherry. At that time, that Pondicherry was called as the French India, or it was in the jurisdiction of French. It was the French colony. So out of the British Empire, British Indian Empire, he just started his ashram in Pondicherry. And his spiritual collaborator, who is called Mother, the I think Meera was her name, and she also assisted him throughout his life, and even after his death, she published a lot of publications as took care of the ashram and so on. So you can get a lot of information about Sri Aurobindo. He is a very prolific figure in Indian philosophy. So there's no dearth of material about his life and works and so on. But here we are basically concerned with his uh, one fundamental aspect, what he takes from the Vedanta, that is Satchidananda. Satchidananda is actually basically it is composed of the three letters. What is Sat, what is Chit, and what is Ananda. So these three are combined in the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo. And he says that Brahma is in all things are in Brahm, and all things are Brahm. Uh, these are the three sentences. This is the actually Aurobindo's language, what he writes in his philosophy is a little bit difficult for those who are not acquainted with that colonial language of that time, because he was I think educated he was educated almost part of his life was spent early education is spent in England particularly. So the influence of the British English was dominant in his writings. His writings or his language may be difficult, but his ideas are very simple. His concepts are very simple. And if you just are aware or acquainted with the Vedantic version of or uh, the version of Shankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta, then it would be easier to understand. So what he says that ultimate reality is linked up with the cosmos by the triple formula of supermind. That one is the Vedanta says that Advaita Vedanta says that there is no difference between Atma and Paramatma. That is Advaitvad. Both these two Atma and Paramatma are not the dual. There's no duality at least. They are the one. He says, Aurobindo says that Brahma is in all things, one aspect. All things are in Brahma, second aspect. And third one is all things are Brahma. This is the beginning point of his philosophy, how he looks at this. We have to go in the early life of Aurobindo when he was inspired by two Western philosophers. Then he came back to the Vedanta philosophy and then he begins his talk. So he was highly inspired by the Darwin's evolutionary theory, but not directly, but via the study of French intellectual Henri Bergson. Henri Bergson was a philosopher, a French philosopher who challenged the Darwin's evolutionary theory, because Darwin says that out of the chance element, or all of a sudden, this evolution on Earth took place, and through process of time, the species came into existence. This is a evolution. Evolution theory means how gradually one species is converted into another species because of the forces of the nature, because of the need, because of the circumstances, they all developed from one being into another being. Henry Bergson challenged this idea of Darwin's theory, and he put the question that if evolution theory means that continuous development, continuous evolution from one species to another species, as Darwin says that first amoeba was developed and it was converted into the fish, and then reptiles were there, and then some mammoths were there on this earth, and the monkeys, how it converted into the human being and then reached to the Homo sapiens like that. Why not evolution is still going on? Why now monkeys are not being converted into human being? Why now fish are being converted into the frogs? Because evolution has reached up to the final stage. Is it so? Or something that the purpose of nature was just to uh, reach to the zenith of the evolution, and that was the creation of man. That was the creation of Homo sapiens. And when man was creation, when creation of man reached to that destination, after that evolution stopped. So it looks as if the purpose of nature was just to reach to the creation of man. As in many of the other religious philosophies, you see, like in Islam also, it is said that man is called Ashraful Makhlukat, or in one of the means best of all the creations. And in one of the verses of the Quran, it is also says that "Lakat khalaqnal insana fi ahsani taqweem," that we have created the man best on best of the module. And when man was created, after that, no creation is there because the purpose of the creator is fulfilled. The same thing is said by the Vedanta philosophy, that the ultimate object of this Brahm is to create this entire universe was created by the Brahm, but man was the ultimate creation. And after that, no creation is there. Everything is going on in that. Then Bergson challenges this theory of Charles, that in what way evolution is going on now. So is there any other evolution? Then Aurobindo begins his philosophy from this point, from the Henry Bergson's, that yes, there is evolution theory. It is not evolution, rather it is involution. Now man has reached up to the highest level of evolution. Now he has to return to the starting point from where he came into existence. That is the involution, the journey from outside towards inside. That is the beginning point of. So the impression of these two Western philosophers is easily visible. in the early writings, particularly in Life Divine is one of the very important book. It is mentioned here. And another important book by Aurobindo, which reflects as mystic philosophy, or it is like the Sufi philosophy. Just this is similar to the Sufi philosophy. The Sufis are also in search of some unsolved questions of life. And what are these questions? The questions are like that: He who has created human being, what is the journey, from where we have come, where we have to go, and what is in between these two extremes, that the destination and the beginning point and ending point. So he depicts this idea of the mystical journey of a human being in his long poem, that is Savitri. And astonishingly, this Savitri poem was also nominated for the Nobel Prize, but he was nominated, but he could not get. Twice he was nominated for Nobel Prize around in 1950s or something, 40 something, 47, 48, like that. So Savitri and Life Divine are the two important sources of his philosophy, Aurobindo's philosophy. And here he defines his idea of holistic development, like human cycle between life and death. And the what Savitri refers, it refers the same idea what Upanishads say. Savitri is basically is a story very popular in Indian Puranas and Indian mythology, that Savitri just insisted uh, Yamraj, the Lord of Death, to return the life or the soul of her husband, the Satyavan. And then she also fulfilled. She also got success in fulfilling her object. That she just got the three boons from the Yamraj, and one of these three boons was that Yamraj returned the life of her husband. What was that? What was that? The symbolically, if you see that Satyavan's life was taken by the Yamraj, that is Mrityu. And when Yamraj returned the life of Satyavan to the Savitri, it is Amrit, means Amrit. Mrit means something who is dead, and Amrit means something who is not dead. So here Amrit doesn't mean the nectar. Rather, Amrit is the opposite of Mrit. Who is not Mrit, that is Amrit. So when you are returning from death to the life, and that life is forever, this is called the Amrit. And in Kathopanishad, the very famous poem, very famous prayer is Asatoma Asatgame, Tamsoma Jyotirgame, and Mrityor Ma Amritam Game. That is Mrityu, from the death to the salvation, or what you call that is the freedom, means we don't have to die. Die in physical sense, but not death in spiritual sense. That is the purpose of Savitri. That is the purpose of life also. And the same purpose is the Vedanta philosophy and as a whole in Indian philosophy, that every education system is based on one single aim, that is to get liberation from the circle of life, and then from the circle of this agyan and gyan, that is symbolized by tamasa and jyoti. The tamasa, that is andhakar, that is equal to the ignorance, that is agyan. Agyan is equal to the darkness. And jyoti refers to the light of knowledge. So it is a prayer to the God that, oh God, please bring me from the darkness of ignorance towards the light of knowledge. And in the same way, from the asata, whatever is asat, that is not Brahm, that is not God. And whatever is sat, it is one of the fundamental characteristics of Brahm. So that way, when your heart realizes the chit, that is called chit, your heart, your antaratma, when it realizes the presence of Sat, there is always bliss, all around bliss. So that is called the Anand. So this is the combination of three terms, Sat, Chit, Anand. That is called the Satchidanand. It is one of the names of the Brahman, of the names of the God. As in Indian philosophy, particularly Aurobindo takes this idea from Vedanta philosophy. that this is the combination of three ideas. One is the existence. Existence is the Sat. Consciousness, that is Chit. Chit is the source of consciousness where you are aware of the presence of Brahma, presence of this nature, this universe. And when both are combined, there is Anand when the reality is known. So, the ultimate aim of integral education or the holistic education is to reach to that ultimate aspects. He also takes one important word, elan vital, that is chitta shakti or consciousness, from the Bergson thought. Bergson uses one term, elan vital. What is that elan vital? This is the uh, extreme consciousness or the highest consciousness. Consciousness is responsible for all kinds of development. This word is used by Bergson, but this for this consciousness, the word chit was used in Vedanta philosophy. And it also talks about Vedanta philosophy also talks about the three types of states in mind. One is when you are awakened, that is called Jagrat Avastha. Another state of consciousness when you are in the sleep, that is this is called Swapna Avastha. And third one is when there is means dream, a sleep without a dream. That is called the Turiya Avastha. Because in the dream, our mind is working. Our body is not working, but our mind is working. Whatever we are realizing in the dream, in the swapna, that is real in the dream. मीन्स सपने में भी जो हम देख रहे हैं वो सपने में तो सच ही है बहरहाल, जब आंख खुलेगी तब झूठ होगा, लेकिन जब तक आंख नहीं खुल रही है, until we are not awakened, whatever we are perceiving in our dream, that is true. It means our mind is working, our body is not working, our sense organs are not working. But the third stage is the Turiya Avastha, where you are neither in this world, you are neither in the world of the dream, a sleep that is dreamless. Means there whatever you realize, that is the state of bliss. So that there are the three states of consciousness, Jagrat, Sushupta, and Turiya Avastha. So these three have been taken by Aurobindo, and he used this beautifully in his philosophy of integral education. That's why he coined the term involution. Evolution is the means last stage of evolution. Man has been created, and after man there is no creation now, because the task of the creation by this universe or by this nature has been stopped. Now what is next? Up to the perfection. So the next is that we have to return back, we have to come back to the original state, that is where Atma again meets to the Paramatma, because in the words of Shankaracharya, he says that there is no duality. So Atma has to return to that Paramatma. Evolution is over now. So this is called the involution, the journey from outside to inside. So it is possible by way of integral yoga. And for integral yoga, again, Aurobindo talks about the different types of education or different types of aims of education. And for example, here on the screen, whatever inspiration he gets from the Vedanta and Shankara's Advaita Vedanta interpretation, he just formulates the six aims of education. One is the physical development and holiness. Holiness is something which is equal to the idea of sadhan chatushtay, the four ways of how to get this holiness, the state of holiness or the cleanliness of consciousness, cleanliness of the conscience, अंतरात्मा, कि बिल्कुल आपकी पवित्र रहे. तो फिजिकल डेवलपमेंट के साथ साथ ये तो शरीर का डेवलपमेंट है, इसके साथ साथ हमारी जो इंटेंशन है या जो प्रिपरेशन है, दैट शुड आल्सो बी प्योरिफाइड. फॉर दैट I will also take up that at least for reference, that what are these sadhan chatushtay, vivek, vairag, shad, gun, or and one mumukshatva are the four sadhan chatushtay are there. We will discuss them in later slides. Training all senses, that is hearing, speaking, listening, touching, smelling, and testing. That is very important aspect of education, that training to the senses are very important. Not only that, how to see is also more important. Not only that, just we have the eyes and we are perceiving. How to perceive is very important aspect. How to look at the things very important. Because in nowadays you see that in various classes of soft skills where the trainers train the aspirants about speaking skills or communication skills or listening skills, or in language you see that LSRW, listening, speaking, writing. They all ultimately are training the senses, that how you have to speak, that how to twist the tongue, how to pronounce a particular word, and how to the difference between the American version and the British version and so on. They are all the training to the senses. How you have to lean your ears if you are showing that you are listening, you are attending to someone who is speaking, then how you have to show by your body language, how you are convincing the person that you are listening, you are attentive. They are all the training all senses. This is one of the aspects of the holistic development. And now, achieving mental development of the child is another aspect. Mental development is training to the imagination, training to the idea formulation, training to the think something, training to grasp the idea and converts it into the concepts like that. Whatever mental activities are there, that should be trained also, not only the physical activities, but the mental activities, whatever are the mental powers, including the imagination and so on. Then development and morality. The idea of morality, what Aurobindo has given, is different from that idea of idealism or some other shwad like that. Aurobindo believes in the freedom of mind, freedom from the very beginning. What J.D. Krishnamurti, Jiddu Krishnamurti also takes from the idea of Aurobindo, that freedom at the very beginning has some meaning. Freedom at later stage has no meaning. So right from the very beginning, freedom of taking the decision. That is the idea of morality. Then development of conscience, antaratma, is very important. Aurobindo takes this idea from Vedanta, and we all know that Vedanta is based on the three basic sources on which Vedanta philosophy is built upon. One is Brahma Sutra by Badrayan, another is Upanishads, and third one is the Bhagavad Gita. These three are the principal source of Vedanta philosophy. This development of conscience is one of the ideas that is propounded by the philosophy of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavad Gita talks about the antaratma or antakaran, that whatever decision you are taking, that is at the call of your antaratma. Because Arjun was given all the knowledge of hidden, whatever he was not aware of. And at the end, Lord Krishna says that I have told you whatever you deserve, and I have told you the truth. This is the truth. Now it is up to you whether you participate in the war or you don't participate. It is up to you. You have to take the decision at the call of your conscience. So this is the freedom. This is called the moral freedom. Okay, where in spite of having all kind of knowledge, all the knowledge, the ultimate knowledge, we are free to take the decision accordingly, the call of our conscience. So this development is very important. These developments are entirely different from those what we normally talk about, like physical development or mental development or spiritual development. These kinds of development are entirely different because this is the part of involution, not evolution. Involution, because these developments are all internal, because this physical development is concerned with the holiness. Whatever physical activities we are doing, that should be guided by the idea of holiness. The cleanliness is there, not the cleanliness of physical body, but the cleanliness of the intention and so on. So this fifth point is development of conscience. This idea comes from Bhagavad Gita. And then the spiritual development, the ultimate spiritual development, that is to reach to the uh, point of Ananda. or the bliss. So, in the words of Sri Aurobindo and his spiritual collaborator mother, true knowledge is not attained by thinking. It is what you are, it is what you become. This is the essence of the entire philosophy of holistic development by propounded by Aurobindo. If you again read it, true knowledge is not attained by thinking. It is what you are, it is what you become. The difference between what you are and what you become or what you can become, the journey in between is the holistic development or integral development. So, five levels of education he suggests as far as the education system is concerned. One is at the level of the physical aspect, that is the outer aspect of man, outer aspect of the child, and then education of the vital. This term is very important in the philosophy of Aurobindo. This vital refers to the vitality force, or it is called the life force. In modern school education system, we often talk about the uh, life skills. We often talk about the life skills, and we include in those life skills such kinds of skills for which we prepare our students to cope up with the stress, to cope up with depression, to cope up with adverse situation in life like failure, like trauma, like violence, like the some unexpected situation in the society for which we are not prepared. So, how we prepare our students in order to cope up with such kinds of situation? For that, if because Aurobindo says that already there is a vital force in the mind, in the conscience, in the body, in the entire existence of man. That vital force should be trained. Education of the vital force should be given. And that vital force means the life force, the force, the motivation that gives life to happen. Sometimes it is says that तो एक कहते हैं ना कि हिंदी में या उर्दू में एक ये कहा जाता है कि जिंदगी जो है वो सिर्फ सांस लेने का नाम नहीं है। जिंदगी जीना अलग बात है और जिंदगी को गुजारना अलग बात है। तो एक फिल्म स्टार भी रहे हैं इरफान खान, उन्होंने बड़ी अच्छी बात कही कि हम में से ज्यादातर लोग जिंदगी को जीते नहीं है, जिंदगी को गुजारते हैं। और जब हमें पता लगता है कि जिंदगी को जिया जा सकता है, तब हमारे पास जिंदगी बची नहीं होती है ज्यादा जीने के लिए। तब हम चाहे ना चाहे वो जिंदगी गुजारना ही पड़ती है। तो इसलिए जिंदगी को जीना अलग चीज है और जिंदगी को गुजारना अलग चीज है। सांस लेने का नाम जिंदगी नहीं है, जिंदगी कुछ और है। वो एक वसीम बरेलवी साहब हैं, उनका एक शेर भी है कि उसूलों पर आँच आए तो टकराना जरूरी है, जो जिंदा हो तो फिर जिंदा नजर आना जरूरी है। तो दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द वाइटल फोर्स दैट इफ यू आर अलाइव देन you should means express yourself by way of some activities or by way of some creativity, by way of some creation like that. Education of the mind is very important aspect. That mind has its different multiple powers. Mind has multiple mechanism to do the things and to disseminate the ideas being generated in the mind. So that's why education of mind is equally important. If our mind is not trained, sometimes it is said that it is the mind which is the warehouse of information. तो कहीं पर अगर बहुत ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन होती है तो इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि उस इंफॉर्मेशन को कैसे यूज किया जाए और कैसे उसको स्टोर करके रखा जाए। दैट्स वाई so mind is the way, if it is the warehouse of the information, how to take care of this much huge data of information? If that data is for example misused, then what will happen? So for that purpose, just imagine that your computer hard disk is having a lot of information, and you have to keep in the safer hands, as well as you have to apply some mechanism so that your data may not be corrupted. So the same application, the same principle may be applied to the mind, where it is the warehouse of information. So if our mind is not educated, then how mind can utilize its power for proper utilization of the information? And then again, when information is converted into actual being, into actual application of the knowledge, that at the level of the psychic, education of the psychic. Psych is something, these are all the new words, because in other philosophy, these words are not used. Aurobindo has coined certain new words. So words are there, but Aurobindo is not famous for his words, but he's famous for his philosophy is famous or popular for the concepts he presents in the garb of the words, in the same words. And psychic, that comes from something from psychology, that the study of psych, that is the psychology. But here psychic refers to something different from that psychology. Psychic means whether you are able to utilize that information in a proper way or not. So if that education is not available, that your child is intelligent enough, but that intelligence is not being utilized in a proper way, or this is just the misuse of the psychic energy. So in that way, education of the psychic is important. Then education of the spirit, the ultimate, this is called the spiritual education. And coming towards the basic sources of his ideas, like these are the sadhan chatushtay, how the holiness can be achieved, or how the preparation for the advancement of that system is at spiritual level, or at mental level, or at physical level is required. That is rationality, detachment, six qualities like sham, dam, uprati, shraddha, titiksha, samadhan, mokshat. These are the ideas what Vedanta coined. Aurobindo converted these ideas into the integral yoga. And that's why he integrated all these aspects. He does not follow literally these ideas, but though he follows these in the pattern of the personality development, but not in that way. And again, he takes the idea of integration of these three Panch Bhutas and Panch Kosha and Panch Prana. These are the basic ideas which are closely associated with the Upanishadic philosophy, as well as in Vedanta. We find in Bhagavad Gita also, we talk about everywhere in Indian philosophy, you find it. Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, and Prithvi. They are equally present in our physical body. Like water in the form of plasma or blood, earth in the form of fat, muscles, skin, nails, whatever has density, whatever has weight, that symbolizes the earth, the presence of earth. And another element, that is air in the form of lungs, heart, stomach, intestines. Wherever there is oxygen, wherever there is vayu, there's the presence of air. And fire in the form of temperature, in the form of pressure, and so on. Then there is one normal temperature of the body, that is the indication, the presence of this fire element. And space, wherever there is a space, wherever there is a vacuum between the two organs or three organs, like in between there is a space between intestine, a space between the two lungs, a space between two kidneys, like that. That is the indication of the presence of space. So all these five elements are presence, and integral education works equally on all the aspects. It cannot leave, it cannot take either one or two. Another five sets of five koshas are also the basically Annamay, Pranmay, Manomay, Vigyanmay, Anandmay. These are nowadays, these are widely discussed. These koshas are widely discussed. And if you just see the last line of this, food, energy, consists or the mental force, that is the mind, or the psychic control, or the subtle knowledge, Vigyanmay Kosh, that is subtle knowledge or reasoning or logic. Or last one is the Anandmay Kosh, consists of the bliss, like that. So these are the five different aspects of the Atma. These are the gradual development. In integral education, you see integral holistic development. All these five aspects are important, starting from the physical education up to the spiritual education, in that way. And Panch Pran are equally important because these Panch Pran are associated with that Pranamaya Kosha. Pran refers to Vayu, that is oxygen, that is what you say, it is just what you inhale or what you exhale. Uh, this is, but if you give some direction to this Vayu or this oxygen, it happens in four ways in the physical body. Like prana is responsible for breathing movement, but apana is just the downward direction of the same air. It is responsible for defection, urination, menstruation, ejaculation, and so on. When air is moving inside the body towards the down. And then Udana is responsible for upward activities like vomiting and just we are just when speaking, when air is flowing from downward to upward direction. That is called Udana Prana. And another is the Samana. Samana is the keeping the balance between the two, Apana and Udana. And basically, its space is there. If you just see the right hand side figure is there. The Samana is in between there, where there is belly, because it works on the digestive system. Whatever food what we eat, uh, the that Samana system or Samana prana is responsible for its digestion. So the air works on the digestion. That should be proper. And the Vyana is responsible for all activities in the periphery like nerves, impulses, blood circulation, and cellular activities in all cells. So since these Panch Pran or whatever is Panch Mahakosh, they all work inside our body. So that's why Aurobindo talks about the when he says that involution means internal system is being taken care of. That's more important. If your physical body is not working at a proper way, that external achievements cannot be ensured. So again, we come to that part that how our three bodies are associated according to the Sankhya concept is also there. That also takes place in the Vedanta philosophy and in Aurobindo's holistic development. That Sankhya conceptualizes that we have the three aspects of our physical body itself. One is the physical body, what we see by our naked eyes. That is Sthul Sharir. That is visible body, physical body, having the hands or ears or whatever we can see. Then inside the physical body, there is a subtle body. That is Sukshma Sharir. Cannot be seen emotional aspects. अब इसका सबसे बेहतरीन एग्जाम्पल ये है कि हम जो हमारा ग्रॉस फिजिकल बॉडी है उसको तो हम देख सकते हैं और आप ये कहते हैं कि सर में दर्द हो रहा है, पाँव में दर्द हो रहा है या आज शरीर बहुत थक गया है, जिस्म बहुत थक गया है, आराम की जरूरत है. ये all these statements are associated with your physical body, that outer body that can be seen. But if you have a little confusion about the subtle body, just look at the sentences what we often use in our day-to-day life. हम क्या सेंटेंस बोलते हैं कि आज पढ़ाई में मन नहीं लग रहा, आज कुछ अच्छा खाने का मन कर रहा है, आज मन बहुत घबरा रहा है, आज मन बहुत उदास है. अब मन की जगह आप दिल कर लीजिए, आज दिल बहुत उदास है, दिल नहीं लग रहा किसी काम में. क्यों? क्योंकि कहीं और दिल लग गया है. तो ये दिल का लग जाना, दिल का न लगना, दिल का टूट जाना, मन घबराना, मन मयूर हो जाना, आज तो मन मयूर बन के नाच रहा है, ये कहाँ है? ये तो कहीं दिखाई नहीं देता हमको, ये तो कोई ऐसी बॉडी दिखाई नहीं दे रही है. That's why it means like when we are talking about it, means something is existing. That's what Aurobindo says, that whatever you cannot see doesn't mean that it is not existing. अगर जंगल में मोर नाच रहा है और आपने नहीं देखा तो it doesn't mean that there is no existence of peacock. It means it is existing. So it is self-proved, self-evident that when हम बात कर रहे हैं उस चीज की, लेकिन वो चीज हमको दिखाई नहीं दे रही, इसका मतलब नहीं कि वो नहीं है. तो मन है. इसीलिए वेदांता फिलॉसफी में, सांख्य फिलॉसफी में भी एक दूसरी बॉडी की भी बात की गई, वो है सूक्ष्म शरीर, जिसको आप कहते हैं कैन नॉट बी सीन. दिस इज द इमोशनल बॉडी एंड इट फॉर्म्स द वेरी वेरिफिकेट ऑफ द फिजिकल बॉडी. हमारी फिजिकल बॉडी का पूरा अटेंशन ही हमारी इमोशनल बॉडी पर होता है. द वे इन विच आवर फिजिकल बॉडी मूव्स, it is directed by our emotional body. जैसे अगर आप कहेंगे कि आज बाजार जाने का मन है, तभी पाँव काम करेंगे, वरना नहीं काम करेंगे। आप कहेंगे कि आज पैर में दर्द है, तो पैर नहीं हिलेगा अपनी जगह से। आप कहेंगे कि आज सर में दर्द हो रहा है, तो इट मीन्स इमोशनल बॉडी कुछ कह रही है और फिजिकल बॉडी उसको फॉलो कर रही है। इन दोनों के बाद फिर देयर इज द थर्ड बॉडी, दैट इज कारण शरीर। दिस इज कॉल्ड द causal body. This is not casual, this is causal body. Means every action has a cause and every action and the effect is because of this body. Whatever cause is there, because of that cause, if body is affecting the effect, the influence, where does this influence lie? That is on causal body, the current sharir, that is called atma. आत्मा के ऊपर सब चीजों का इफेक्ट होता है. So these are the three. And according to these five koshas, how they are interrelated to the educational aims, or you see that how Aurobindo takes the integral, by way of integral education or development, how aims of education are holistic aims of education, like vocational development, are associated with Annamay Kosh, and Pranmay Kosh ensures the physiological development. And Manomay Kosh is associated with the intellectual development that talks about the uh, emotional aspects. And Vigyanmay Kosh is rationalistic development, or the logical or reasoning, and so on. And then Annamay Kosh is, that is the spiritual development, where a detachment state is there, or that is the ultimate object of getting the perfecting state. And how these three bodies, current, causal body, sukshma deha, subtle body, and physical body, are associated with these five koshas. This is the main purpose of integral education, or like holistic development of the entire body. Annamay kosh is concerned with physical body, and pranmay, manomay, vigyanmay is concerned with the emotional body, and annamay kosha is concerned with the causal body, or anandamay kosha. Now, Panch Pran, you can say, that is, we will not discuss it. Now, coming towards another philosopher, just a little talk about him. Swami Vivekananda, his early life is equally important as Aurobindo's later part of life was important. His early life is important, how he transmigrated spiritually from the his in early state of his life. हुआ ये कि फ्रस्ट्रेटेड तो नहीं कहना चाहिए, लेकिन उनकी जिंदगी में एक घटना हुई कि जब उनके हिज फादर लेफ्ट द वर्ल्ड फॉर एवर, पास्ट अवे, तो ही बिकेम अ लिटिल रेस्टलेस कि अब क्या होगा, और पूरे परिवार की जिम्मेदारी उनके ऊपर आ गई. तो ही मेट इन सर्च ऑफ some console or something. So all of a sudden he came to know that in Kolkata, where he was residing at that time, Calcutta. तो स्वामी रामकृष्ण, ये आपके रामकृष्ण परमहंस जो थे, वो वहां पर ठहरे हुए थे, रुके हुए थे. तो उनसे मिलने के लिए पहुंचे. तो जब जा करके देखा, तो वो बड़ी ब्लिस अवस्था में थे, बड़े आनंद की अवस्था में थे. और इनको कहा कि भाई, इनको तो ब्रह्म के दर्शन हो चुके हैं. तो उन्होंने जाके डायरेक्टली उनसे पूछा कि हैव यू सीन गॉड, क्या आपने ईश्वर को देखा है? और बड़े इस अंदाज के साथ पूछा कि जैसे ये तो बहुत ज्यादा नाराज थे कि ये सब कुछ नहीं होता है, स्पिरिचुअलिटी वगैरह, और ईश्वर को किसने देखा है, और ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है, और इज पॉसिबल. तो रामकृष्ण परमहंस ने फौरन उनको जवाब दिया कि यस, आई हैव सीन इन द सेम वे एज आई कैन सी यू, बट इन ए डिफरेंट वे, विद मोर इंटेंस्ड व्यू. वो व्यू इंटेंस्ड व्यू है, वो व्यू तुमको डेवलप करना पड़ेगा. गॉड कैन बी सीन, बट नॉट विद दीज आईज. तो वहां से एक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हुआ कि इतने कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ कोई व्यक्ति जब किसी बात को कह सकता है, तो कुछ तो उसमें होगा. तो रेस्टलेस हो गए स्पिरिचुअल लेवल पे कि अब तो तलाश करनी है. फिर सवाल आते रहे, जिंदगी अपनी चलती रही. और उसके बाद फिर एक रात को पहुंच गए, रामकृष्ण परमहंस का डोर नॉक किया, और अंदर से आवाज आई कि कौन है. तो ये नरेंद्र थे, छोटे थे अभी, 15-16 साल के रहे होंगे, या और 20 साल के रहे होंगे, लेकिन छोटे ही थे ज्ञान के लेवल पर. तो इन्होंने जवाब दिया कि यही तो मैं जानने आया हूँ कि कौन है. अंदर से पूछा गया कि कौन है, इन्होंने कहा यही तो जानने आया हूँ कि कौन हूँ. So that was the spiritual answer by Narendranath Dutt, who later became emerged as the Swami Vivekananda. कि मैं कौन हूँ, यही पूरी वेदांता फिलॉसफी का सोर्स है या एसेंस है कि हु यू आर. And the state from Tattvatvam Asi, you are existing. Tattvatvam Asi, you are existing, is God is existing. से लेकर जो जर्नी है अहम ब्रह्मास्मि के, I am the God, means I myself is the Brahm. It means I am the part of Brahm. I am not Brahm in physical sense. I am the part of the Brahm. That entire journey begins with the one question: Who am I? मैं कौन हूँ? So that is the also idea of Bhagavad Gita, that self concept. If you are able to develop your own concept about yourself, then to know God is not an, anything which is impossible. इन सूफियों के यहाँ भी कहा जाता है, पर्शियन में एक सेंटेंस है, या क्या कहेंगे उसको, मन अरफहा नफ्सुहु मन अरफहा रब्बुहु. जिसने अपने नफ्स को जान लिया उसने अपने रब को जान लिया. बिकॉज द जर्नी टू नो द गॉड बिगिंस विद द जर्नी टू नो योर इनर एस्पेक्ट, योर इंटरनल एस्पेक्ट, योर ओन सेल्फ, जिसको नफ्स कहते हैं. अब नफ्स की स्टेजेस हैं सूफी फिलॉसफी में भी. वो नफ्स अम्मारा से नफ्स लवामा में बदलता है, और नफ्स लवामा से फिर मुतमइन्ना में बदलता है, फिर रादिया से मरदिया, रादिया तक फिर मनाजिल होती है. और कुरान में फिर एक आयत आती है सूरह फज्र में, या अय्यतुहन नफ्सुल मुतमइन्ना इरजी इला रब्बिक रादियतुम मरदिया, कि you just return towards your God, your creator, because he is agree to you, he is agree with you and you are agree with him. You are pleased with him, he is pleased with you. आप जो भी कह लें उसमें. So these are the stages. These are the stages. The same stages is there that Vivekananda just suggest. So his major contribution is not like that कि औरोबिंदो की philosophy जो है वो थोड़ी सी complicated है, और उसको समझने से ज्यादा समझाना मुश्किल है. सो जिसकी समझ में आ जाती है फिर वो दूसरे को समझा नहीं पाता है. बिकॉज दो चीजें हैं दो लेवल्स पर. एक तो द लैंग्वेज ऑफ अरबिंदो, व्हाट ही हैज यूज्ड, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट, कॉन्सेप्ट्स आर सिंपल. बट इफ यू आर नॉट, बिकॉज ही जस्ट प्लेज विद द कॉन्सेप्ट्स, and if you are not aware of the concepts, that's why I have taken the examples from Vedanta philosophy like Sadhin Chatushtaya, Panch Prana, and so on. So if an ordinary person has no idea about the Vedanta terminology, and particularly not terminology but the concepts which are behind the terminology, it's very difficult to understand the philosophy of Aurobindo. But Vivekananda's philosophy, he also takes the stuff from the Vedanta, and he starts a new term, not only new term but a new concept, that is Neo Vedanta. Vedanta means, if you just talks about the adhyatmic or spiritual development, and you just neglect or you ignore the materialistic aspect of world or the cultural aspect of the society, or you just ignore whatever is before you, so it means you are doing something wrong, or you are not following the right way. So Vivekananda suggested that until you achieve the economic development, until you achieve the nationalistic development, until you take care of the people amongst whom you are living your life, you can't achieve the spirituality. So more important before the spiritual development is the development of your senses, development of your the way you think, the way you perceive the world, the way you look at the people. So that's why his quotations, his statements, his words are very important. And that because he doesn't use the complicated words, for he just presents a philosophy of the people, and he just presents the simplification of all the concepts of Vedanta. That's why it's known as the Neo Vedanta. As it is very visible, one of the very famous statement of Vivekananda: strength is life, weakness is death, expansion is life, contraction is death, love is life, hatred is death. So such type of quotation statements are there. So he again talks about that economic and social progress of nation and its people is equally important before spiritual development. And education should be imparted for perfection at physical body, preparation for life struggle, or growth of nationalism and internationalism, because he was a very good propounder of the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or the idea of Sarve Santu Niramaya, where he just addressed the people of America by the historical words, that is historical in the sense that no one in the history of America before Vivekananda used such words, because they were addicted to use the ladies and gentlemen kind of things. Like Vivekananda addressed the my dear American brothers and sisters in 1893 World Chicago Religious Summit में. तो जैसे ये शब्द सुना कि मेरे अमेरिकी भाइयों और बहनों, माय डियर अमेरिकन ब्रदर्स एंड सिस्टर, तो सिर्फ इस सैल्यूटेशन पर, वर्ड पर लोगों ने स्टैंडिंग ओवेशन दिया, और उसके बाद काफी देर तक दे kept on clapping there, kept on clapping, because this was something new. The words were not new. Words might be new, but the idea behind that, the spirit behind that, the emotion behind that was new for the American, for the Americans, for the West, entire West. Because the Western philosophy is just to many of the people, it is just a verbosity, less idea, more words are there. Verbosity in the sense that अगर आप कांट की philosophy पढ़ें, हीगल की philosophy पढ़ें, आप शोपेनहावर को भी पढ़े, हु वाज वेरी मच इंस्पायर्ड बाय द उपनिषद्स, और वो कहता है शोपेनहावर की उपनिषद्स आर द सोलेस ऑफ माय लाइफ एंड सोलेस ऑफ माय डेथ. और वो ऐसा व्यक्ति था शोपेनहावर वेस्ट में, कि उससे ज्यादा कोई पैसिमिस्टिक व्यक्ति नहीं रहा. उसने ये कहा कि इतना पैसिमिस्टिक था अपनी लाइफ में, इतना निराशावादी था, कि उसने एक बार ही कह दिया शोपेनहावर ने कि सबसे अच्छे वो लोग हैं जो पैदा ही नहीं हुए, और उनसे ज्यादा अच्छे वो लोग हैं, उनके बाद वो लोग अच्छे हैं कि जो पैदा होते ही मर गए, और सबसे ज्यादा दुखी वो लोग हैं कि जो अभी जन्म लिया है और मृत्यु का इंतजार कर रहे हैं. वो इतना पैसिमिस्टिक था. ऑल ऑफ अ सडन उसके हाथ उपनिषद लग गए, और वो पहुंचे थे इंडिया में. दारा शिकोह ने जब उसको ट्रांसलेट किया पर्शियन में, तो लैटिन में वो ट्रांसलेट हुए बाद में, और वेस्ट पहुंचे, और लैटिन से फिर अंग्रेजी में ट्रांसलेशन हुआ, शोपेनहावर ने किया. तो बाय द वर्क्स ऑफ दारा शिकोह सिरे अकबर, Upanishads reached to the Western world. So it is the contribution of Dara Shikoh. It should not be, I think, it is one of the important phenomena in Indian history of intellectualism. तो ऐसे लोग, ये सारे जो लोग थे वेस्ट में, इन्होंने जो फिलॉसफी लिखी उसमें वर्ड्स ज्यादा थे, स्पिरिट कम थी. इंडियन फिलॉसफी में स्पिरिट ज्यादा थी, वर्ड्स जो थे वो कम थे. दैट्स वाई विवेकानंद ने उन दोनों के बीच में कोलैबोरेशन किया, एंड ही टॉक्स अबाउट दैट वेस्टर्न स्पिरिट शुड बी देयर, कि पर्पस सिर्फ ये होना चाहिए कि वेस्ट से हमने अगर लैंग्वेज सीखी है, तो उस लैंग्वेज का इस्तेमाल हम इसलिए भी करें कि हमारे पास जो बेस्ट है उसको दुनिया को दे पाए. वेस्ट से हमें कल्चर लेने की जरूरत नहीं है, वेस्ट से हमें फिलॉसफी सीखने की जरूरत नहीं है. हाँ, कोलैबोरेशन हो सकता है. And that's why I often feel that whatever good book you study of Western philosophy, it begins with Socrates, it begins with Plato, or sometimes it begins with, say, Thales or Anaximander, and so on. And it ends with Hegel or modern philosophers, Bergson, and so on. But why does Western philosophy not include any of the chapter on Indian philosophy? हमारे यहाँ कोई भी किताब फिलोसफी की जब लिखी जाती है इंडिया में, तो हम सोक्रेटिस और प्लेटो का एक चैप्टर जरूर लिखते हैं. वेस्टर्न फिलोसफी हमारे सिलेबस में भी जरूर रहेगी. क्या वेस्टर्न फिलोसफी में जो बुक्स लिखी जाती हैं उसमें इंडियन फिलोसफी को इसी तरह से ट्रीटमेंट मिलता है या नहीं? Except some specialized projects or specialized departments are there in Stanford University or in Harvard, and they have established some special Indic study center. India study centers are there, But I am just talking about the general scenario for last 100 years, that we always include in our syllabus, always include in our all the things what are coming from the West as the milestones. And then we pay attention less to these ideas. Why Western people do not start with Indian philosophy? Indian philosophy is older uh, than the Western philosophy. जब सॉक्रेटिस और प्लेटो ये 3rd सेंचुरी BC में थे, हमारे यहाँ 1500, उससे 1500 साल पहले उपनिषद की रचना हो चुकी थी। उससे 2000 साल पहले आइडियाज आ चुका था। ऋग्वेद में नासदीय सूत्र है जिसको आप कहते हैं कि एटलीस्ट आइडिया इज देयर। आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट दैट इज इक्वल टू द बिग बैंग थियरी, बट आइडियाज आर द बेसिस ऑफ द इन्वेंशन। तो whatever idea, at least they could think in that way. विवेकानंद का कहना यह है कि अगर जो आइडियाज थे हमारे पास एंशियंट टाइम, जैसे आज बात होती है, आइडियाज ही तो थे हमारे पास। अब हम कहते हैं कि हमने पुष्पक विमान बना लिया था। आई से दैट द आइडिया पुष्पक विमान वाज देयर, दो इन रियलिटी वेदर इट वाज जस्ट द पार्ट ऑफ दैट इपिक और इन रियलिटी इट वाज देयर, एटलीस्ट आइडिया वाज देयर। आइडिया तो था कि कोई उड़ने वाला विमान है। और एक आइडिया और मैं आपको बताता हूँ, 1907 में एक बुक लिखी गई बंगाल में, रुकैया सखावत हुसैन ने लिखी, जिसका नाम है सुल्तानाज ड्रीम। उस सुल्तानाज ड्रीम एक यूटोपियन लिटरेचर, एक लिटरेरी वर्क है। और इन सुल्तानाज ड्रीम रुकैया सखावत हुसैन ऑल्सो मेंशंस अबाउट सम फ्लाइंग मशीन, उड़ने वाली कुछ मशीन है जो हवा में उड़ रही है और सोलर एनर्जी का वो जिक्र कर रही है 1907 में। कभी आप पढ़िए सुल्तानाज ड्रीम, इट्स अवेलेबल ऑन ऑन गूगल प्लेटफॉर्म। तो दैट वाज आल्सो द आइडिया। 1911 में पहला हवाई जहाज बनता है, राइट ब्रदर्स बनाते हैं। और 1907 में रुकैया सखावत हुसैन ने फ्लाइंग मशीन का कॉन्सेप्ट दिया है, जो अब जाकर के वेस्ट में कहीं कहीं सुनने में आती है खबरें कि यहाँ एक छोटी सी 4 व्हीलर टाइप की कोई फ्लाइंग मशीन है जो उड़ने लगी है, शायद चाइना या जापान वगैरह में कहीं न्यूज में आया था। ये आइडिया 1907 में था। सोलर एनर्जी का आइडिया रुकैया सखावत हुसैन ने 1907 में दिया। सोलर एनर्जी अब हमारे घरों में यूज होती है। सो आइडियाज आर इंपॉर्टेंट। तो विवेकानंद सेज दैट इंडियन फिलोसफी वाज फुल ऑफ आइडियाज if they, because their main concentration was on the spiritual development, adhyatm par zyada tha unka, and philosophy became as the armchair philosophy like that of the West. And in West you can say that this is the armchair philosophy, and in India you can say that this is the hermitage philosophy, that you just go to the forest and you sit in the meditation and you come out with the ideas of Atma and Paramatma and Brahm and so on, how this universe came out of it. And then how you are materializing all those ideas. तो विवेकानंद का कहना यही कि अगर हम थोड़ा सा मेटरलिस्टिक भी होते और थोड़ा सा चारवाक को भी महत्व दे देते, तो आज शायद हम दोनों ही क्षेत्र में बहुत आगे होते। हो सकता है दुनिया का सबसे पहला हवाई जहाज हम ही बना लेते, क्योंकि आइडिया तो सबसे पहले हमारे ही पास था। और अभी रिसेंटली चंद्रयान में जो सक्सेस हमको मिली है, तो वो आइडियाज तो थे हमारे पास, दैट वाज इक्वली एंटायरली डिफरेंट कि हाँ ऐसी कोई चीज हो सकती है। लेकिन अगर यही साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी सम 5000 years बैक वी कुड मेटेरियलाइज इट एक्सेप्ट इंस्टेड ऑफ आइडियाज, देन वी कुड कम आउट विद सम इनोवेशंस। व्हाट वेस्ट केम आउट विद, वेस्ट ने क्या किया कि स्पिरिचुअलिटी को उसने रखा जस्ट फॉर लेटर पीरियड कि हाँ अल्टीमेट एस्पेक्ट है स्पिरिचुअलिटी, लेकिन मेटेरियलिस्टिक एस्पेक्ट को या साइंटिफिक एस्पेक्ट को उसने ज्यादा वेटेज दिया। और फिर दे केम आउट ऑफ द इनोवेशंस। यू सी द सेम थिंग। तो विवेकानंद के साथ एक बड़ी अच्छी घटना हुई, और खास करके इंडियंस के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बहुत अच्छी घटना हुई, भारत के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अच्छी घटना हुई कि व्हेन ही वाज गोइंग इन 1893 टू शिकागो इन ऑर्डर टू पार्टिसिपेट इन द दैट वर्ल्ड रिलीजियस समिट, तो उनके साथ एक व्यक्ति यात्रा कर रहा था। और उस व्यक्ति से विवेकानंद ने पूछा कि आप कहाँ जा रहे हैं? कहा कि हम अमेरिका जा रहे हैं। उन्होंने पूछा कि आप क्यों जा रहे हैं? तो उस व्यक्ति ने जवाब दिया कि हम अपने यहाँ कुछ चीज़ों का प्रोडक्शन करते हैं, मशीनें लगी हुई हैं, लेकिन हमारे पास टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं है, हमारे पास इंजीनियर्स नहीं है, तो हम अमेरिका से कुछ इंजीनियर्स लेकर के आएंगे ताकि वो हमारे यहाँ की मशीनों को चला सकें। तो विवेकानंद ने पूछा कि अच्छा आप कोई पैसे वाले हैं? बट हाँ, का यस, आई एम एन इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट, आई एम ट्राइंग टू एस्टैब्लिश सम इंडस्ट्रीज इन इंडिया एंड जस्ट दैट्स आई एम गोइंग टू अमेरिका टू ब्रिंग सम टेक्नोलॉजी और सम टेक्निकल पीपल. So Vivekanand insisted to that person that why don't you establish some educational institutions in India so that you may start the research and you may develop your own technology instead of every year to go America and bring some people like engineers and technicians and so on. To what extent you will hire the technology from the West? Why don't you start one education institutions and train your own people? तो उस व्यक्ति को वो समझ में आया कि हाँ, तो उन्होंने पूछा कि आप कौन है, तो बताया कि मैं विवेकानंद हूँ, मैं जा रहा हूँ वहां पर. तो वो ही बिकेम वेरी इंस्पायर्ड, और जब वो लौट करके आए तो उन्होंने इंडिया में सबसे पहला इंस्टीट्यूट लगाया जो रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट था, और उसका नाम था टाटा इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ फंडामेंटल साइंसेस, और वो व्यक्ति थे जमशेदजी टाटा. तो ये विवेकानंद की फिलॉसफी की बिगनिंग कि द विजन ऑफ विवेकानंद यू जस्ट सी फॉर द नेशनल डेवलपमेंट फॉर ऑल एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ. उन्होंने कहा कि अगर ये काम हम 5,000 साल पहले से करते चले आ रहे होते तो आज हम हर चीज में आगे होते. विश्व गुरु सिर्फ हम आध्यात्म में नहीं होते, हर चीज में होते. तो ये उनका एस्पेक्ट्स है. और आई थिंक फिर एक एक स्टेटमेंट और मैं विवेकानंद का कहना चाहता हूँ थोड़ा सा कि वट एवर द आइडिया फॉर विच ही इज नोन, he is known for the idea of national development or nationalism, but not at the cost of narrow nationalism, rather at the cost of cosmopolitanism or internationalism, that you have to collaborate all the people of the world. और जो भारत की पहचान है, that is whether it is in the area of philosophy or in the area of adhyatma or spirituality, that not at that cost, but at the cost of that, West should also know that what you have, as Vivekanand says. और उन्होंने he proved it कि if you know the language of others, you can also disseminate your own ideas, your own good works to the rest of the world. So that is the idea of broad mindedness, जिसको आप कहते हैं कि उससे थोड़ा उठ करके उन्होंने सोचा और कहा कि इंटरनेशनलिज्म है. इसीलिए विवेकानंद he delivered his speech in English in America. He learnt English, but the content was Vedanta. The content was Indian spirituality and philosophy. तो दैट इज द सेम थिंग इज दैट आज हम कहते हैं कि यार अंग्रेजी सीखने से क्या फायदा. अरे भाई, इसलिए सीख लीजिए कि अंग्रेजी में जिसकी जो जबान है उसमें आप अपनी चीजों को दूसरों को बता पाए. अरबिक इसलिए सीख लीजिए ताकि अरब के लोगों को बता पाए कि इंडियन फिलोसफी क्या है. पर्शियन इसलिए सीख लीजिए कि पर्शियन के लोगों को बता पाए फिलोसफी क्या है हिंदुस्तान की. दैट दिस इज द यूज ऑफ लैंग्वेज. और नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी गिव्स utmost importance on the language. Yani every state has different languages. In India almost you see that 13-14 languages are there, very prominent. तो अगर इन लैंग्वेजेस में इतना मैटर, अभी हम नहीं जानते कि बंगाल बंगाल में कितना लिटरेचर लिखा गया. अभी आगे मैं एक किताब डिस्कस करूंगा. टैगोर को हम सब जानते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ हिज गीतांजलि. बट हाउ मेनी पीपल नो दैट टैगोर हैज क्रिएटेड मोर देन गीतांजलि? टैगोर हैज क्रिएटेड वन ब्यूटीफुल बुक दैट इज क्रिसेंट मून. I think very few people are aware of this book, and this is one of the important books in child education. अगर चाइल्ड साइकोलॉजी पर आपको पढ़ना है तो टैगोर की सबसे जो अच्छी किताब है वो है क्रिसेंट मून एंटायरली. So I have less time, so within 10 minutes I try to give emphasis on holistic education. And विवेकानंद ने हाँ एक बात और अच्छी कही कि उन्होंने कहा, यहाँ पर आप देखिए लिखा होगा कहीं पर, आई जस्ट सी द परफेक्शन थ्रू आर्ट्स. Vivekanand made the people realize that you have to disseminate the word that art, music, and performance, this is the part of your life, and that is the thing through which you manifest your ideas, and you have been manifesting since yes, Kabuliwala is also there, many other literature, but particularly in the context of education I am talking about. In the context of child education, it is Crescent Moon. Apart from it, he wrote a lot of literature, poets' work, Shiksha, Harfair, and in Bangla, equally in English here. But so Vivekanand also says that the people of India are very much fond of their internal or aesthetic sense, their internal beauty. and they manifest it in their buildings, in their houses. You see, these are the some few buildings. When I was there in Bengal, I spent 10 years almost in Shanti Niketan, so I was there. All around, I see that how Santali people are decorating their walls, and even in Shanti Niketan, I think in the hostel walls you see that some sketches are there done by the students. One building in Kala Bhavan is there. You see how people decorate their outer walls, and this is one the culture of India, that in during the period of Deepavali, you see that every people made rangoli at the door in North India. But if you go to the South India, there you see that every evening they prepare the rangoli at the door. This is a regular culture of every evening, just before the sunset. They made the rangoli at the doorstep in South India. And in North India, we normally do it during the time of Deepavali festival. So this manifests the aesthetic vision what we have. That's why Vivekanand says that education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. We have to realize it. Now, Rabindranath Tagore, the poet, philosopher, and guide, it is very this you can identify. This is one of the pictures I have taken during his youth period. He was such a vibrant personality that he was a poet. Not only he used to play the role of in one of the famous plays, the Valmiki. He used to play the roles of different characters in the play, and he introduced it in the education of Shanti Niketan and established it that play, music, dance, sports, celebrating the seasons, they are all should be the part of education. So it's very simple to be happy, but it's very difficult to be simple. That's the idea of Tagore. And Tagore defined education as that which is one with life, and he believed that only education can give us real freedom. Freedom of mind, freedom of heart, or freedom of will. Just 1 minute. So these are the freedom what Tagore talk about, and he believes in the freedom at heart, and that's why he uh, propounds the education of heart more important. Because whatever education we are getting, that may be the education of mind or education of senses, but uh, if education of heart is not ensured, all the fruits of education cannot be achieved. So the highest education is that which does not merely give us information, but makes our life in harmony with all existence. This is the core of the idea of holistic education, that how you make the harmony with all existence means everything, whatever is existing in and around you, that should be in harmony with your ideas, with your thought, with your actions, with your emotions, and so on. So the one thing, first of all, we have to keep an vigilant eye, an observer, a good observer of the nature and its manifestation in different seasons, like how clouds are raining, how it's thundering, and how the stars are twinkling, and how what's the difference between the cool air and breezes, and so on. So Tagore allowed the students in Shanti Niketan, when he established it in his Patha Bhavan, that you just feel the nature in its different manifestation. For example, don't teach your student the clouds when you are teaching the geography. Don't teach the students the clouds by its name. Let them perceive the clouds, that they are floating in the air. And later on, you just ask them that what is the size, what is the color, what is the shape of these clouds. Then वो आपको बताएंगे कि ये clouds ऐसा लग रहा था, just like the cotton balls. The shape, the size of that cloud was very big. They were looking that they are just coming towards us. They are floating in a very high speed. They have some brownish color. Then आप उनको बता दीजिए कि ये cirrus है, ये cumulus है, ये nimbus है. These are the different names of the clouds in geography. But if you just provide them in the very beginning the factuals or the information or the terminology, then they will be little confused. So in that way, let them feel how sun is rising, let them feel how the rain is falling, and in the same way. So in other subjects similarly, these are some pictures I have taken. Some pictures are available on websites also. Some pictures are from my personal camera. So these pictures are from the archives basically. And you here see that these are also from the archives. Open air classes in the lab of nature is still such When I was there, I also used to take classes. These are from the schools established by Tagore, Patha Bhavan. And these schools, Tagore established actually two schools, one for the children from urban areas or the areas which are very close to the Shantiniketan cities, or and some one school for the children from rural areas, or the like the children of the farmers. And so he did not distinguish between, but in the vicinity of rural areas, he established Shri Niketan campus, and in the vicinity of some town near the railway station, he established the Patha Bhavan, some 3 kilometer distance between the two schools. One is called the Shikha Satra and one is called the Patha Bhavan. These two schools were established by Tagore. And still this pattern of education is going on. In the shade of the tree, the students sit, self-discipline is there. Teacher just use this blackboard, or sometimes they, by way of a discussion or mutual interaction. Here in the black and white picture, you can also see that Tagore is still sitting. This is 1901 picture. Dance, music, sports, and performing arts, integral part of curriculum and life at Shantiniketan. This is the first picture, left hand side you see. This is the Upasana Giri. Upasana Giri is one temple. Actually, this is the name given temple, but actually it is the Upasana Giri. It was established by Maharishi Devinath Tagore, the father of Rabindranath Tagore. And here, during that time, when he established the Brahmo Samaj, during that time, people from different religions used to sit and they used to recite the religious scriptures of their own religion. उस जमाने में यहाँ पर कुरान भी पढ़ा जाता था, उस जमाने में यहाँ पर बुद्धिस्ट भी बैठते थे, और उस जमाने में यहाँ पर क्रिश्चियंस भी बैठते थे, और वो अपना गॉस्पल्स की स्टोरीज या बाइबल की स्टोरीज रिसाइट करते थे. एंड अलोंग साइड द रविंद्र संगीत होता था, और वेदांता, फिर उसका पाठ भी होता था, शांति पाठ भी होता था. और अभी भी शांति निकेतन में एवरी वेंसडे मॉर्निंग में सूरज निकलने के बाद या उसी वक्त सब लोग इकट्ठा होते हैं, और हम सब लोग जाते थे. ऑल द फैकल्टी मेंबर्स, स्टूडेंट्स, चिल्ड्रन फ्रॉम स्कूल्स, दे ऑल असेंबल देयर, and they for 30 minutes or 50 minutes we involve in Ravindra Sangeet, and we do pray for the all humanity on the pattern of Vedanta philosophy, or Rigvedic Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or Sarve Santu Niramaya philosophy. And this is the regular pattern of Shanti Niketan still today. Now you see that the dance, the baul singers, they are all the integral part of curriculum. In Ananda Mela, you see in the next slide, different types of Shanti Niketan celebrate the season. At the beginning of every season, they celebrate it in the form of some Mela. One is the Posh Mela, that is called the Sharad Utsav, when there is winter in December. At the last week of December, it is celebrated there. That is Posh Mela. It is one of the oldest Mela of India. And millions of people just they reach for 15 days or 20 days. It continues. Then, but officially it is celebrated for 3 days, and after that it continues up to 15 days. Shanti Niketan provides and organizes this in the university area. And then Ananda Mela is there. This is at the end of the session. When session is ending, after semester exams are over, around in just before the Puja vacation. That is, Puja vacation is that Bengal, the entire Bengal celebrates 1 month for Puja vacation. This is before Durga Puja. And before that, semester exams over, and for 15 days are given to the students that you have to celebrate the Ananda, because exams are over. Then you have to go home for another 1 year to celebrate the puja. So just go home with happy and a smiling face. Forget about the examination, what will happen, let it be. But just Anand. So Anand Mila was at the end of session, and their children used to participate. In the first picture, you see that children are uh, uh, setting their own stalls, and they are selling the things, and they are in the different formats, like they are uh, celebrating different way. And here you see that dancing. Dol Utsav is there. Dol is called as the Holi, what we celebrate in northern India. That is Holi Utsav. So there is a different flavor of Holi in Shanti Niketan. It is called the Dol Utsav. That is, Dol Yatra is there. One Yatra is there, and it is officially it starts by the vice chancellor of the university, and the entire day we just dance and we celebrate, and no chemical is allowed to be utilized in the holy celebration. Just the flowers. The color is made of the flowers. The trees are already available in Shanti Niketan. And here you see that is the Ratindra Mela. Ratindra Nath Tagore was the son of Rabindranath Tagore, and Rabindranath Tagore sent his son to the west for the agricultural education. And when he came back, Tagore established one Sriniketan Institute, another campus solely for the agriculture purpose. And you know that one of the oldest Gaushala of India was established by Tagore in Sriniketan campus. आज तो गाय के नाम पर पता नहीं क्या होता है कि कितनी गौशालाएं और क्या गायों का हाल ऐसा है, और हम गौशाला के नाम पर बहुत सारी चीजें करते हैं. So it has become a fashion nowadays. But Tagore associated it with the education, and all the students who were reciting in the campus hostels में, वो सभी जो गौशाला में गाय थी, उसी से milk and butter and milk products they used to get it. और वो उसको रेयर करते थे, देखभाल करते थे. तो शांति निकेतन is entirely established on the Gurukul pattern, where you have to involve in all kinds of activity from growing the plants even and up to its final consumption. So this is the finest example of holistic education what Tagore established. And then this is the crescent moon. In another 1 minute, I try to just give an introduction. Crescent moon is the manifestation of his voice of agony
Sorry to
for the
interrupt,
freedom.
Professor. Could you please tell me the name of the place?
Which place?
The last slide, yeah, where
This
this
one.
Gaushala has started first.
It is in Shri Niketan campus. Shri Niketan.
All
It is
right.
the Tagore established two campus. One is one is Shanti Niketan and another is Shri Niketan. And both campuses are the part of now Vishwa Bharati, a central university. Because Tagore established Shanti Niketan first in 1901, and then Sri Niketan in another year, and then in 1922 it came to be known as the Vishwa Bharati as a central university, and it got its central status in 1951 after independence. So still Sri Niketan campus is there, but Gaushala is not in working state. However, agricultural and all other departments are there still. So if you get time, you please visit to Shanti Niketan. It's a wonderful place. Still, all
Yeah,
such activities are going on.
thank you. Thank you.
This is not the part of history. Still, it is the part of present. I have just some 3 years back, I was there. I have just joined. Uh,
Okay, thank you so much
so
for kind information.
yeah, it's wonder information, wonder place. So crescent moon, this is another creation. Particularly, I am mentioning this crescent moon because it is a wonderful book. It's very important book for the purpose of holistic development in child. What a child needs actually, that is more important to know for the educators or for the teachers, for the policy makers, that what a child is thinking. So Tagore composed first this book in Bengali, that is by the title Shikha, but later it is actually by the title Shishu Bholanath. Yeah, this is the actual Bangla title. And then later he translated all the poems of Bangla into English by the poet himself. So it by the title The Crescent Moon. And recently, I have translated all these English, the poem from Bangla and English into this Hindi version, Adhure Chand Ki Kahani. This is my translation of the Crescent Moon. So I have translated as many as 40 poems from the Crescent Moon in here for the Hindi speaking readers, because I was very passionate that this literature should be known to the Hindi speaking people also, particularly in North India. So that's why. And this is, you see that these are the some poems that just titles are sufficient. Tagore on child, you see that Tagore's children, its mother, dignity of the child is there, and a child's apathy for artificial life in school and quest for venture. And you see that your child is silly. This is the part of class 7th NCRT textbook. And factors of time and place. इसका एक हिंदी में मैंने अनुवाद किया, आप उसको सुनेंगे तो शायद आइडिया आपको होगा कि चाइल्ड क्या कहना चाहता है. कभी होता है कि हम स्कूल नहीं गया, आज छुट्टी कर ली, तो माँ ने कह दिया कि तुम घर पे बैठ करके पढ़ाई करो. अब बच्चा सोच रहा है मैं अपने दोस्तों के साथ घूमता, तो पढ़ते पढ़ते 12 बज गए. अब बच्चा अपनी माँ से कह रहा है कि माँ, सारा सवेरा पढ़ते पढ़ते बीत गया और तुम कहती हो अभी तो 12 ही बजे हैं। जब रात्रि को भी 12 बजते हैं, तो जब 12 बजते हैं तो रात्रि क्यों नहीं हो जाती। अब आप ये लॉजिक देखिए बच्चे का कि हाउ ही इज ट्राइंग टू कन्विंस द मदर, जस्ट जस्ट फ्री मी, today is the holiday and you allowed me to sit and again involved in the study. So child is fed up of the study. Every time he does not need the textbook and so on. The burden of textbook and the life with dignity in the classroom, artificially kills the kinder heart. All such points are there. And one last the slide is there that Tagore has created this. I think this is ये एक ऐसी किताब है जो पूरे एंटायर नॉट ओनली द ब्रिटिश एजुकेशन सिस्टम बट एंटायर एजुकेशन सिस्टम आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस फर्स्ट 40-50 years up to the introडक्शन ऑफ द होलिस्टिक आइडिया इन आवर एजुकेशन सिस्टम, टैगोर की जो तोता कहानी है, कभी समय मिले तो इसको आप पढ़िएगा। दिस इज अ वंडरफुल कमेंट ऑन द एग्जिस्टिंग एजुकेशन सिस्टम कि हम तोते से वो सिंबलाइज करते हैं कि how our children are being converted into a parrot, like the parrot learning, that they are being offered just the books, textbooks, methods and materials, and nobody is taking care what a child is thinking. तो अपनी बात में यहीं पर ख़त्म करता हूँ। एक उर्दू का शेर मुझे याद आया कि थिंग्स आर मैनी, बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं यहाँ पर, लेकिन समय कम पड़ जाता है एक्सप्लोर करने के लिए। यही इंडियन नॉलेज ट्रेडिशन और शायद इसीलिए इंट्रोड्यूस किया है नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में कि आगे के कई वर्षों तक हम एक्सप्लोर करते रहें इंडियन ट्रेजर्स को। तो एक शेर है उर्दू का कि कोई मौसम यहाँ रंगीन कहाँ से आए, ताज का दौर है कालीन कहाँ से आए, राह में बिखरे पड़े कितने जादू के चिराग, मसला यह है कि अलादीन कहाँ से आए। थैंक यू वेरी मच, गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल।
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
for nice and
Thank you, sir.
wonderful
Thank you,
presentation.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the
I
wonderful
think,
talk.
thank you very
sir,
much. God
so
bless.
much.
I think you have to appear for the examination, so my
Thank
best
you, sir.
for you on some